Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, in which I take a little bit of a reaction video and talk about how Arsenal are doing regarding specific news, specific different instances that are going on in the world of Arsenal. And today is fair to say is rather an exciting news coming out of the world of Arsenal transfers, and that is to do with Wilfried Zaha. Now, Wilfried Zaha obviously been at Crystal Palace for a number of years, spent some time at Manchester United as well, but came back after not really doing so much for Manchester United, and is now being linked with a move to Arsenal. That I basically did a video on this guy a few days ago, and you can go check that out in the description, of course. And I broke down Zaha and compared him to the likes of Alex Iwobi, because he's obviously the most comparable player when you think of players who play on the wing for us, although we're not really playing in a system where we play with wingers. But he's certainly someone who plays there. So I compared him to Alex Iwobi, and he obviously came out on top on a lot of his statistics. There were still some very close calls in there in terms of the comparison. You can go check out that video, as I already said, the tactical breakdown. Build on this and do more of a deal for this, and are aware that Crystal Palace are basically asking for a lot of money, and they're aware that Crystal Palace will need to lower their demands for a sale to happen. The other added complication, or rather that's given us hope, shall we say, is that Wilfried Zaha has turned around and said that he's actually keen for a deal to happen. And we're going to talk about that, and obviously this is live, so thank you to everyone who's tuning in right now. Alex Wilden in the chat, just seen you, evening to you, fella. Lyle Brown says, loves this channel, thank you very much, appreciate it. So in the chat box, please tell me what you're thinking towards this Zaha stuff, and I'll give you a little 2-minute breakdown on what I think is going on. Whether you think it's going to happen or not, I'm still leaning on the side. I think it's not going to happen. I really don't see it happening due to the money side of things. Whether or not Zaha really goes to push for the deal, I don't really think we're going to raise enough funds that are going to tempt away Wilfried Zaha. I mean, you just have to look at what's going on with Celtic and Kieran Tierney at the moment, and you look at what's going on with Kieran Tierney, and we're just lowballing them with like £17 million offers, £18 million with add-ons. And if we're lowballing for Kieran Tierney, to go in for a player where the club values him supposedly around £80 million, or technically they rate him at 60 million, but know that they've got a 25% sell-on clause back to United, so they've got to raise funds in another way. So if you want to make 60 million, you have to sell him for 80 if you want to get that amount of money. But do we have that amount of money? No. Do I think we'll raise that amount of money? I don't either. I don't think that we are going to sell the likes of Mesut Ozil. I don't think we're going to sell the likes of Mustafi. There's been recent links to Mustafi being linked with Fenerbahce or Galatasaray or somewhere in Turkey, but I don't see it happening. I really don't see them being sold. I don't see us being able to raise the funds needed for that type of deal. If the rumours are to be believed that we'll be able to get them down in terms of their valuation, great, but it's still going to be way too much. You're looking at getting it down to like what, 50 to 60 million. It's still not going to be anywhere near them. The football fan chat says, hi Tom, can you even afford Zaha? Unfortunately, no. This is literally what we're discussing. I don't think we can without raising the funds. And there's the talk of the two players that could be sold to raise funds, one being Lucas Torreira and the other one being Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, both of those players are extremely key to us developing and going forward and being successful. And unfortunately, if we were to sell those to bring in likes of Zaha, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face, to be honest, because you're not adding enough quality to replace those. You're adding, yes, goals, and you're adding dribbling and you're adding skill, but if you take away Aubameyang or Torreira, you're losing a different element of your team that is necessary for us to be competitive and improve next season. So it's absolutely pointless to say, oh yeah, let's go sell one of those two and bring in the likes of Zaha, because you're not actually improving the squad. When it comes down to the Torreira stuff, the most recent news regarding Torreira is that it's a load of rubbish, basically, that AC Milan aren't actually interested in bringing him in. They know it would cost them a lot of money to do it. And now it seems the recent rumour is that we're going to push to get Torreira a new contract. And that obviously new contract means he's going to be on more money. So the wage is going to start getting used. But we did obviously remove a lot of players of our wage bill towards the end of this season. We got rid of the likes of Welbeck, we got rid of the likes of Ramsey. And these players off the wage bill will mean that we can recoup some of the wages and improve our contracts for the players that need to be held down. But that doesn't mean we then pay over the odds for someone that doesn't need to stay too long. Players like Cole Jenkins that are already at the club on way too much money. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying in the chat box. Lyle Brown says, generally believe we can afford Zaha. I highly doubt we have 45 million. We definitely have way more. See, that's now the other aspect, isn't it, Lyle, is that we're at a club where we're being told we've only got so much to spend, but we know with the Adidas deal, we know with the money that's coming off the wage bill, we know there's money coming in from sponsorships, we know money coming in from TV rights from being in the Europa League last season, and not spending any money in last January, of course. How is it that we don't have any more money to spend on the likes of Wilfried Zaha? To me, it does make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Let's go to Alex Wilden. He says, I think, fella, we should really think about our defence. Lewis Dunk could be a good signing. I think we should go for our youth academy more to fill out the rest of the squad. Yeah, it's definitely something that you should look at, is looking into your youth academy, because we got the likes of Nelson, we got the likes of Bielik. These guys should come through. The recent reports about Bielik is that he's actually interested about leaving the club, and if we're willing to let someone like Christian Bielik go when he's on a decent contract, I think he's got a couple of years left or so, but you could get a solid fee for this guy. We bought him for over £1 million when he was only 16 years old. So I'm very much of the opinion that we need to keep Bielik in the squad. But then when you look at, say, bringing Zaha in, you could say, is he too similar to Alex Iwobi? Does he actually give us anything more than what Alex Iwobi gives us? Enough, and I'm not saying that he isn't better, because I do think he is, but I'm saying to spend 80 odd million on someone that's only showing statistics that are a bit better than Alex Iwobi's, is it that? And if you don't believe those stats that he's only slightly better than Alex Iwobi, again, go check out the video that I did on the breakdown of Wilfried Zaha, where I compare him to Alex Iwobi, and you can see that the similarities are there for all to see. Let's see what some of the rest of you guys are saying in our chat. Who will win the fight tonight? Kieran or Reds? I'm not into the fighting, to be honest, with that much stuff, mate. I'm really not. Sticks, he says, who said it was only 45 million? Well, that's another thing, is obviously that's coming across the media in every single angle. The Sun, Sky Sports, everyone is saying we've only got 45 million. David Ornstein saying we've only got 45 million. Well, if it's whether you believe it or not, that's what's being told. The club never actually publish how much we'd have to spend, because it would be absolutely madness to come out and say, oh yeah, this summer we've only got this much money to spend, and so therefore clubs are going to turn around and be like, well, we know that you're strapped for cash, so we don't have to sell to you, so stump up the money, and they'll use that against our advantage. Ideal realistic transfer window for us. I think a realistic transfer window is bringing in Tierney, bringing in Saliba, sending them back on loan, which would annoy me, but it has to happen if we want to bring him in. It's probably worth it. I think that you can get Hakim Ziyech. I really do. It looks like he's being linked to Sevilla for about £30 million. And if you're saying Wilfried Zaha for 80 million, when you can go out and get Hakim Ziyech for 30 million, I mean, what sort of madness and sort of world is this? He's proven in the Champions League. He's proven against Premier League teams there and against some of the best teams in Europe like Real Madrid and Juventus, and he's played really well all season. Why not go out and spend 30 million if you're willing to stump up money for Zaha on a player that's a little bit more exotic because he's coming from a foreign league? He's shown it in the Champions League. Why not bring it in? I don't really get it. And I think that the fact that Zaha really relishes playing on the wing, we don't really play with a wing system. We don't really play with that. And Ziyech isn't an out-and-out winger. Ziyech is someone who can come inside, play as more of a 10, play behind the two strikers, and he's going to give you a lot more than what Mesut Ozil is going to give you in that position at the moment, and he's going to do it on a more consistent basis. So why not bring the guy in? What else have we got? Alex Wilden says, if we defo need an out-and-out winger, Fraser or Ziyech? Well, yeah, I just answered your question, haven't you? So Hakim Ziyech would definitely be it. Dro the Gooner says, funds could be spent on Wilmer Barrios, Colombian centre defensive mid at Zenit. I'm actually not clued up on him, so I'm interested to do a little bit more research on that guy. I'm pretty sure someone put in a request for a tactical breakdown on someone if I just scroll up a little bit more. Please do a breakdown on Lewis Dunk from Aryan AV. It's in the list. It's definitely on the list to do. Obviously, I'm doing tactical breakdowns on players that we're getting linked to a little bit more, and players that I'm looking likely to sign for. The most recent one, in terms of wingers, is Keita Balda from Inter Milan. And that's a really odd one, because he never really showed what he could do at Monaco. He never really showed what he could do at Inter Milan. He scored a few goals, and he's going to be going for like 30 odd million. Again, why would you spend 30 odd million on Keita Balde when you can go out and spend that money on Hakim Ziyech? I don't really get why we're going down that route. It's just silly season of transfers, and that's probably what it's about. What about Bamba from Lille? Yeah, Bamba had a really good season, of course. The Frenchman, left-sided midfielder, left winger. He's still quite young, and I don't see why there's not been actually more links with the likes of Bamba from clubs around Europe. Probably because Lille are having an absolute fire sale with their team. Obviously, Thiago Mendes went off to went off to Lyon to replace Ndombele, who's seemingly leaving to go to, annoyingly, Tottenham Hotspur. And then you've got Pepe, who's going to be going. So probably not going to be wanting to lose too many more of their players, and they'll probably hold fast on Bamba. Nicolas Pepe, Brains Myth, as I just said for Lille, like, they won't want to lose too many of their players. But Pepe is too far of our bracket. I think he's going to be going for like up to £100 million. Because if you look at the likes of Ousmane Dembele, leaving Dortmund for over 100 million, Pepe is far and away worth just as much, if not more, as Ousmane Dembele was. So why not go out and spend that much on him? If we've got 80 million for Zaha, apparently, why not spend it on someone like him instead? Praveen TG says defence is most important for Arsenal. Buy the right back and Leipzig centre backs. Yeah, the Leipzig have got really decent players, and we know that because we've got Meccano, Halstenberg at left back's really good player as well, and they've got some players in that team who could do. Orban is a very good centre back as well, but they're just not really going to be signed by Arsenal. They're not being looked at. I was really excited when we got linked with Zoboslai at Rebel Salzburg, of course, the attacking centre midfielder who's only 18 years old, and he was only going for about 15 million, and then now the links have gone quiet on that one. I thought that could have been a really interesting player to sign. Mad Wide One says, what do you think about Iwobi's left centre mid in a 4-3-3? Could be a game changer. I've been very much an advocate of saying that we should move to a 4-3-3 formation for sure. I think it's a formation that we would benefit from. Lacazette playing in that sole striker role, Aubameyang pushed out wide. I know that we lose a little bit of his game from that, but I think it's time we go to a back four, play with a midfield three, and get the best out of some of our midfielders. I think we're going to need Nelson to come in and get a few more minutes. I don't think he comes in straight into the starting 11 for sure. He's not that good at this point in time, but I do think he's going to be deserving of minutes. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes and answer a few more of your questions. Please leave a like if you are enjoying it, and subscribe if you're new. Gooner888, he says, what happened to Anderson and Pratt? Yeah, a good question. Obviously, at the start of the summer window, we were linked with the Sampdoria pair, Anderson and Pratt. And seemingly now that has gone very, very cold. At the time, it was reported for about 50 million euros for the duo signing of the two. And now they're being linked with other teams across Europe. Anderson definitely wants to move on. He's come out and said that, and Pratt is being linked with other clubs as well. I didn't really think that Pratt would have been the guy to be our midfield replacement for Ramsey. I would have looked at someone a little bit more exciting, who's got a little bit more verve about their attacking play. Not really Dennis Pratt, but when the two came up, I thought, oh, this is quite a decent deal to get two players for 50-odd million euros. If we're going to sell a few players, maybe we can add to that left-back slot with Tierney, and it would have done quite well. But now we've seemingly gone down a different route. Let's go for, who are we going to see? GMS7. He says, we can't negotiate players valued at 25 million. Surely Zaha is fake news. Yeah, it's a good point. If we can't negotiate players like Tierney, as I said earlier, what hope have we got of signing him? What else have we got? Gooner888, 4 nows. What a performance against France. Why would we not have gone for him? I said it, I tweeted it out when he went to West Ham. We really should have gone for Pablo Fornals when he was at Villarreal, but he would have a really good replacement for Ramsey. Yes, he's a slightly more attacking player, not as much box to box, but I thought he could have played in that pivot in a midfield three, just in front of Torreira, next to someone like Xhaka. I thought he really could have done it. Thendo Baldwin says Zaha or Keita. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, even though Zaha's wildly more expensive, he gives you a lot more than what Keita Balde does. Nonsa and Selim says, what's happening? When are we going to have one real signing? If this whole thing about the kits and the fact that we've not signed anyone because of the kits is true, for me, that's pathetic. That we have to actually wait until we've announced our new kit, which was actually leaked in that video that you've all seen. Very nice kit, very great video. But the fact that that was leaked, I mean, how classless do we have to be that if we're going out and leaking our own kit video? Lucy Bronson Mustafi, yeah, I'd take Lucy Bronson Mustafi all day long at the moment, mate. Gary Hawke says we need at least 2 centre-backs, one who to make the difference, defence stronger. Now, speaking of centre-backs, yesterday's video, please go check it out. It was on Dan Axel Zagadou from Dortmund, breaking down the player. I actually compared him to Saliba and to see how good he is compared to Saliba, and he actually beats Saliba in so many different aspects of his game, and he's only going for about 20-25 million pounds at centre-back. Should we really be going for someone like Saliba if we could bring in Zagadou? I also got our good friend Drew, our German expert, to give his thoughts on the player, so go check out that video from yesterday. I saw a thing about Martinelli. Arjun says Martinelli will be the first signing. I think he probably will. I think that's pretty much done. I've written an article on Martinelli. You can go check that out. I've also done a video on him. I feel like I've done a video on everyone these days, and I hope you're enjoying the content. But Martinelli's a really exciting sign. He's a left forward type player who plays on the left. and I think he could do some real damage when he develops. Kieran L1998, he says Izzo for 22 million. Yeah, on yesterday's show on Zagadou, I spoke a little bit about Izzo, and guess what? I did a video on Izzo as well, so you can go check out that breakdown on Izzo and my thoughts on the Italian. I think if you're looking for a defender, you want to go out and buy Serie A's team of the season centre-back. Izzo's that guy, because he had a fantastic season for Torino last year. He's had fantastic seasons going through his career, even the time when he was at Genoa, which got him the move to Torino. So why not go out and spend 22 million on a 27-year-old coming into his prime and doing really well at an Italian club, and why can't he translate that to the Premier League? I think for me, it was a no-brainer to bring him in. Ariane Haidari, thank you for the $2 donation. He said, let's make a GoFundMe for Arsenal to sign Asensio. Brilliant, Ariane. I mean, please go out and sign Asensio. Fingers crossed one day that will happen. I can't wait if it would do. Did Izzo say he's not leaving Arjun? Well, fair enough. He said he's not leaving. Fair play to him. But I think it would have been a really good signing. And at the end of the day, every player's got their price. So why not go out and try and sign it? Azar says Rob Holding and Dunk could be the partnership for next season. Yeah, a little bit of news on Holding is seemingly that he's not going to be fit for the start of the season, which is a really big blow, which could actually arguably ruin our chances of getting the likes of Mustafi out, because we might need cover in that position at the start of the season, with Holding being out injured. Mavropanos is still not really ready yet, and Saliba, who was supposedly signed, is going to go back out on loan. So it is what it is in terms of that, but it's a shame that he's not going to be ready. Lord Bira says Ceballos is available on loan. Now, Ceballos, again, did a video on him. Go check out the video on Danny Ceballos. I think he's a brilliant player, and he would be my personal pick for the centre midfield slot to replace Ramsey. But at the end of the day, I'm not okay with it being just a loan. I think he's a type of player that you want to bring in. I would be spending the money they're thinking about spending on Zaha on Danny Ceballos. We let Ramsey, a 40, 50, 60 million pound player, leave to go to Juventus. So we needed to spend the similar amount of money to replace him, and Danny Ceballos would have been great. If we can get him on an option to buy, then yeah, perfect. But it's for a loan deal for someone like him, I would, yeah, if he came in, I'm not going to cry about it, but at the end of the day, I'd rather he signed for us permanently than just getting him on loan. But he's a fantastic player. Alex Wilden says Dunk and Duffy. Yeah, it'd be nice if we got the two Brighton centre-backs. There's something that fans need to get out of their heads sometimes, is signing these players from the likes of Brighton or Wolves or whatever, like with Connor Cody, for instance. These guys are Premier League experience. Why not go out and get them? Why not go out? That's why the Zaha thing kind of entices me, because he's shown in the Premier League that he can play well and he can do it. So why not go out for someone like Zaha? A couple more questions and then we'll leave it. Shantonu, he says, I really like Ismail Sarr, only if we could go for him. Yeah, he's one of those players which is like, he's full of a lot of running, and like he's very technically gifted and very skillful, and it looks like he's a really great player. And he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not that sold on him. I think he's one of those where when they score against Arsenal, then all of a sudden we think they're great. But he's just not for me. Just not for me. Brandon says we can't afford to pay extra for Premier League players. It's very true. Like, we can't at the moment in the bracket that we're at pay for that without making sales. And again, I put the tweet out this morning. The people who seem to think that we're better off outside the Champions League, well, this summer is clearly going to show that that was a load of rubbish, because we really needed the financial backing. Last one then from the Duff. He says, do you think the money is going to be given to Saint-Etienne next year for Saliba, since we are loaning him back this season? I certainly think there'll be it'll be done in stages. I don't think they'll be getting 27 million outright. I think they'll get some now, some at the end of the season, because if you're going to be sending him back on loan and you're spending that amount of money for nothing, yeah, I don't think it'll all be done next season, but I think that for sure some of it will be spent now and some of it will be given to Saint-Etienne later. Can I do a breakdown on our financial situation? Yeah, that's probably a good idea, probably a good one. I can do some research on to do a breakdown on that. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, people. Please give it a like if you've enjoyed it. I'm obviously spending some time out of my afternoon to give you guys the best amount of update as I can and keep breaking it down. Thank you, Sticks, for saying keep up the good work. I really appreciate that. And go check out some of the videos if you haven't already, people, because I've really put a lot of effort into doing those for you, especially yesterday's. So go check that one out. I'll see you again very, very soon. Go follow us on Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV and on Instagram, the Gooner Talk. So go check that out. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll be here tomorrow with Kenny Ken for our preview of the season going ahead, like with Lee Judges last week. Kenny Ken this week. So stick around and look out for that tomorrow. It'll be live, so you can leave your comments in the description as we go through and ask Kenny some questions. If you want to ask me some questions as well, please DM me on Twitter and I'll save those questions for Kenny as well. See you again very soon, and as always, up the Arsenal.